This is the closest Cody Ko has come to addressing the utterly disgusting Tana Mongeau situation, and yet he's acting like it's just another normal Wednesday afternoon. Don't be fooled by his cool as a cucumber act. The truth is that it's anything but. Actually, Colleen Bollinger really did set the bar for pathetic, cringeworthy, insincere, and lame apologies. However, things are going as normal at Cody's. The internet is pulling him in all directions, and even his friends are breaking up with him faster than you can say scam doll. For those of you who think Cody was unaware that Tana was only 17 when he hooked up with her,
guess what?
Gabbie Hanna assured us that Tana lived long enough to see herself emerge as the hero once she has presented receipts. On top of that, there is an even more serious issue that has emerged following people have seen that Cody isn't accepting responsibility as much as he should, and this knowledge will make you guys cry. It's really nasty, folks. The updates are rolling in thick and heavy, so you'll need to grab some popcorn injectase if you don't want to miss this train wreck.
One time, I told a guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage, and I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know, I know she looks a little older, she's underage. Watch it. And he was like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. And then he turned that.
Just hold in there. I'll explain everything in a moment for those of you who don't understand what this is all about. But first, recall who the tiniest person you've ever had is. Oh my goodness, don't look at me. Cody Company. I can state that I was exactly 17 at the time. At first, everyone seemed to take it lightly, but once everyone's senses returned, they said things like, wait a minute, that shouldn't have happened. Fast forward to around 3 weeks later. On her podcast, Tana delves further into the issue, allowing everyone to see Cody Ko for the actual person he was, one who knew Tana was a child.
However, I understand that this isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Yeah.
And I've tried to talk about this a million times, and I feel like I never have the right words. I hooked up with Cody Ko when I was 17 and he was 25. Yeah, it happened. It is, I definitely am like, why was he doing that? You know what I mean? And there were so many situations. There was a situation with Gabbie Hanna at a Playlist Live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17. And then we still went and hooked up. And I can look at that and be like,
what the
why
fuck?
the f were you doing that?
At this point, the narrative takes a terrible and dramatic turn. Tana said that Cody Ko had taken advantage of her when she was only 17 years old, and then something strange happened. There was radio silence. We're talking about a crime here, but the million-dollar issue that leads to the next bizarre chapter of this tale is why, precisely, Cody Company is getting away with it. As tragic as it may seem, nobody in the internet community called him out. As YouTuber D'Angelo Wallace would later say, people simply couldn't care less because they despised Tina. And if that's not the most upsetting thing, then let's talk about Tana for a minute. I've heard today, then I don't know what is just because someone isn't a perfect victim, doesn't mean they aren't a victim. Yeah, sure, Tana has a history of serious controversies, lies, and generally is just super problematic. Her chaotic personality has unfortunately been entangled with her brand. Could this be the cause of her podcast being canceled, you ask? Although T may be many things, to question her integrity, rather than hold Cody responsible for taking benefit of a minor, she is genuinely being attacked by others for speaking out just because she is Tana, who is unacceptable. It's obvious that Tana has been impacted by the whole situation after all these years, because the more mature she becomes psychologically, the more she understands that what happened to her when she was 17 wasn't right. I've seen a lot of comments, but what was she wearing? It's Tina, so who cares? Well, it's Tana Mongeau.
But there isn't a part of me, at least at 25 now. I mean, I look back and I would never do anything like that. So I'm like, what the f wrong with you?
Yeah.
Even though Tana insists that none of this has traumatized her, other people think otherwise because earlier videos of her discussing the same subject are coming up again and sound like cries for assistance.
I was 17 at the time, 18. I started kind of hooking up with other people. Shout out JC Kalen, shout out Cody Ko.
This is hardly unexpected given the society we live in. It's usually entertaining in games until it's your time, but it's still very depressing that people still troll victims. Gabbie Hanna discussed this years ago, even before Tana did, but people persisted in demanding that Tana produce evidence despite the fact that they knew she was unable to do so. It's one thing to accuse someone, but there is a witness, you know. But things got worse when people stopped bringing up Tina and dared to bring up a very delicate subject, someone wrote. First of all, because Tana is the one sleeping with him, it makes sense. She is 17 years old and mature enough to understand what she is doing, so everything is okay. Yes, it was her responsibility since, at 17, she understood what she was doing, but what nobody seems to be talking about is the 25-year-old in the situation who was the adult and should have known better, but no, Tina should have grown up faster. You see, loves, this is why you should be scared no one cared, because it happened to Tana, but once they start age calculations and saying that a 17-year-old isn't a minor. Tana stated that she was just a fan who grew up watching Cody Company, so who is the adult here again, who notices that these men who are preying on girls aren't befriending 16-year-old boys as their peers. It's almost like they actually understand 16-year-olds. However, you should know that this isn't about Tana. It could happen to anyone. Are young people? It doesn't matter if Tana wanted it or not. She was unable to make that decision, nor was the power dynamic. Even though she is a victim of the way people treat her, it's disgusting, and I'm not a fan of Tina either. However, Cody committed a crime, and this comment emphasized the true issue. When I told him my age, the 26-year-old guy I dated when I was 16 remarked, "Well, I'm 26, so that's a problem as well." If it were up to me to make the decision, it's strange how they act like it's the duty of teenagers to put an end to criminal activity, and that this is for the people who make fun of Tana, but a 25-year-old was also involved. So here's the thing. Tana, the queen of controversy herself, is involved in this story, which is one of the main reasons it isn't becoming viral, as it should be, because people don't seem to understand that she was the victim in this case.
If I had a 17-year-old daughter or a little sister or something, like, I would kill. I would never let it fly.
I would never let it go unchecked. All right, let's go on. Let's turn our attention to Cody for a moment. As you are all aware, he hasn't even made a statement about the situation. However, what most people are unaware of is that Cody is using this silence to try to hide the truth and make it appear as though he is going to get away with it. I'm going to explain why this has worked in his favor from the start, without making any major comments. It has only been Rolling Stone that has published an article about the scandal, but even that was silence. Believe me, I had big shot creators, especially the ones in the commentary niche like him, ran the story when it was still hot news. We'd be seeing more of these. YouTubers have talked about this, and the few who have only jumped on the train after smaller channels had done the Lord's work in an attempt to hold Cody accountable. Seeing a very distinct circumstance for some reason, no one wants to acknowledge that Cody is a horrible guy, which leads me to my second point. There is no way Cody would be hosting a performance right now. What you see is Cody's personality, not Tina's. Since Cody has succeeded in maintaining a perfect public image by always attempting to seem like the lovely man, people often look the other way when someone of his caliber is accused of a crime. These people always maintain a perfect public persona while acting completely differently behind closed doors. This is also how the Predator's manual works. They identify a victim who isn't sure whether what is going on is right or wrong, love bomb them, and before you know it, the deed is done. That's how my mind works, because I grew up loving him, and I think I understand what I mean. Like, I was just thrilled and a fan, and I understand that that's where you can now, as an adult, say you were taken advantage of. Cody isn't getting cancelled because he has made people like him so much that they aren't ready to accept the fact that he is a predator. Just think of how things would have turned out if Gabbie Hanna hadn't initially revealed the truth to people. It was impossible to criticize Cody based just on Tina's statements, but now that there is proof, the least he could do was apologize to Tanya and his disgruntled followers. Instead, he's out there having the time of his life, giving concerts as if nothing had occurred. The fact that Cody knows he committed a crime both then And now that Cody Tana could be the worst person he's ever met is another reason he would prefer to go to Mars than deal with this problem. I have no idea who is advising Cody, but if you've been following this mess, you know there's only so much dirt you can hide before it blows up in your face. That's exactly what's happening now, as some of Cody's business associates are jumping ship, realizing they can't be linked to an unapologetic predator, Anna and Drew, who host the emergency intercom, ever encountered, because how dare she expose him like that? This is a secret he's been sweeping under the rug for years.